Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Tennant Nicholson, an international publicist and co-founder of Friends of EastFlatRock.org. With me today is Dr. Brindley and Dr. Bridges, and they had a great idea. And look, if this is not your cup of tea, then just keep on scrolling. Don't worry about it, okay? But if this is your cup of tea, if you let go and let God like I do most of the time in my life, then this is for you, okay? So Dr. Bridges, tell me, you got a call from Dr. Brindley, and what happened?
Well, Dr. Brindley, this is Dr. Brindley's idea, so it felt the right idea to do. So let me see if I can preface what we're talking about here. I feel like the Friends of East Flat Rock has been in a wonderful moment of time in which we have done all that we can do. The transactions have been tremendous. The leadership has been tremendous, and we've been active in all things, not missing anything, leaving no rock or stone unturned. But the reality, as I was reminded from Dr. Brindley this morning, is the fact that maybe now the battle is not for ours in terms of tactical strategies, but the battle really belongs to the principalities and powers, meaning that we are dealing with something that we really cannot control. And the best response at this moment is to move it into a level of serenity and peace, and move it into a place where there is a divine consciousness that we know that we are trying to do the right thing and the right thing will be done. And to do that, it's through meditation, it's through prayer, whatever words that you want to use to describe, where you go inside of yourself and you find that wonderful, quiet place of peace. That's what we need now for the days to follow before the June 1st vote. And we've got some thoughts about that, Michelle, that before this conversation is over, I would like to speak to you about those events.
Wonderful. And I just want everybody to know that, you know, we have people who are daily in tears about this. They call me and they're sitting in their homes. They're so distraught about that. Our elderly are distraught about some actions, about words, about I really want to underscore what Dr. Bridges is saying is that the best way to first take care and be of service to your community is to first take care of yourself. You know, that old saying, when you're in the airplane, you know, you got to first give yourself oxygen before you can give your child the oxygen, right? Dr. Brindley, how did you think of this morning? What happened?
I was listening to you outside of the courthouse, and I actually saw you getting very And I saw your frustration, and I thought, you know, we're not in this alone, and we need to not forget that we're never in anything in life alone, and that we just simply need to tap into God as we understand God, and always ask for his help in everything. And I think it was very wonderful when I was speaking on the phone with Linda, and she said, you know, it's kind of like a thy will be done thing. And I think if we look at it that way, we can get in a peaceful place. And then you even had a wonderful suggestion, Michelle. You were saying, you know, like we can also pray for the people that we think are our adversaries. So it's kind of up to people to do whatever they're comfortable with. But I think that the benefit also is it builds more community. You feel like you're not alone, you know, and people know that they are supported. And so, I don't know. I just thought it was a great idea.
It is. So what has been recommended is that at 7 a.m. we're going to take 5, 10, 30 minutes, whatever is comfortable for you. And then we're going to have soulful prayer, meditation, intention that God's will be done. And then also this Saturday, and I'm going to let Reverend Bridges talk a little more about it on the 22nd of May at 10 a.m. in Highland Hills, probably right there at the end of Reed Drive. There's going to be a prayer vigil, and people are going to be getting together to pray.
I'd like to explain just a little bit, Michelle, in terms of a prayer walk. Some of you may be familiar with pilgrimages to go through holy sites in a contemplative kind of quiet, prayerful way, without a lot of chatter, without a lot of words. So we are asking those who would like to participate in this prayer walk, probably not lasting more than 45 minutes. We would meet at the top of Highland Hills, at 208 Reed Drive, and we would have a moment to set our intention for the walk and to honor the land and to honor the people who live within that scope of Highland Hills subdivision, which is a stone throw from the intended asphalt production plant. We would walk in quiet. We would pause and have a reading of some sort, scripture, poem, just a short snippet of a thought, walk again, resume our walk, continuing until we end our walk at the bottom of the hill at the Highland Hills sign, the rock sign there across from Orr's store. So this is again, a time for us to gather in quiet, honor that work which has been done so well through these months, and then put the next few days in the hands of something greater than ourselves, and pray for the outcome, which is really a peaceful consciousness in each of our own hearts, regardless of what the outcome actually is.
Thank you. And I want to say, oh, go ahead, Dr. Brindley.
Now, I just want to suggest that for everyone to remind themselves to go ahead and set this on your cell phone, that it's like a little alarm that goes off every day and reminds you, because if I didn't do that, I probably would forget. It'd be 8 o'clock and I'd say, oh, I forgot. And I think that just knowing that
I'm gonna do that right now.
Is doing that.
I'm setting, go to your phone. Mine's under clock.
I did it.
And then you set an alarm and just Friends of East Flat Rock, pray, meditate, intend, whatever your cup of tea is, whatever empowers you, make sure that you're empowered. I also want to say, so there's two things. That's daily at 7, starting tomorrow. And then there's the one event on Saturday at 10 a.m. I have already going to be in Cherokee at Fire Mountain at a mountain biking event that has been postponed for a year and a half and has now been rescheduled. And my husband and I are going. And so I will be on a trail, sacred grounds at 10 a.m. myself. And so I will stop and join you mentally to be there in spirit with you, even though it won't be physically with you. And for those of you who have other plans, that is how it works. If you're a scientist, quantum physics has proven that prayer, intention, meditation works. And so when people come together, there is an energy field that we don't really understand, and that's the great mystery. So whether you come at it from a religious or scientific perspective, even our agnostic people, you're welcome. Everybody's welcome at Friends of East Flat Rock, right? Okay, anything else that the two of you, like, what if somebody has trouble, like, what am I supposed to do at 7 a.m. and they are agnostic and they don't do this on a daily basis? How would you solve that for them, Reverend Bridges?
It would be just a simple mantra: thy will be done, thy will be done, thy will be done. If it helps to have a rosary or a stone in your hand, or light a candle to ritualize that moment, that's appropriate too. Anything, again, we're trying to tap in, as you said so well, Miss Michelle, to a level of transformation that is really beyond ourselves, what we know is existing, but you can't see it. It's in that invisible strata where the divine is at work. And we are trying to tap into that for our own sake and for the sake of our community.
I love this. And I want to share, I wrote a letter to the commissioners, and you see this coin, it says the Prayer of Jabez. I'll probably start crying. But my father gave this to me before he passed, as I became an entrepreneur. And he said, I want you, as you build your businesses, I want you to pray this daily. I came from a very religious home in Louisville, Kentucky. And on the back of it says, bless me indeed, enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me. Keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain. 1 Corinthians 4:10. And I have prayed that daily. Even though my father passed in 2004, and it also connects me to him. And I will incorporate this practice that Meg has come up with today, because one thing that my father loved, he didn't mind business expansion. He didn't mind progress, but he was a man for the trees. and veterans. Those were the two things that he really believed. And he would often come home and there'd be a whirlwind of activity in the kitchen. And I wouldn't, what's happening, Mom and Dad, what's happening? And he'd say, oh, come over here and make some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We've got a homeless person to go feed. And he would make a huge meal and leave them with food. Anytime he ever saw somebody who was a homeless person, he would go feed them. And,
Wow.
and that's where I've learned my community service from my daddy. So, you know, veteran of the Korean War and a civil servant as a nurse at the Veterans Administration Hospital for many, many years.
Michelle, that is so real. And when we walk on Saturday, we'll be passing by people who have lived in this area since the early 1800s. We'll be passing by the cemetery where they are buried. And the realization that this is land which has been made sacred by the prayers of the people who have been there for a long time, including the indigenous peoples, the Catawba, and the Cherokee, who were there before the rest of us ancestors even arrived. That sensitizes us to the realization that land doesn't belong to us, but we are stewards of it. And to be able to come with that kind of humility and prayer to this decision, which is so essential, the decision will be made, which will have repercussions for generations to come on June the 1st. And to realize the gravitas of that decision, to realize that we have to have our own hearts and our minds in a place to receive whatever decision. We need to kind of rest on one another's shoulders, as Meg and I have been in conversation this morning, in order to walk through these days with the kind of right attitude. You and Shannon have told us to channel our Mr. Rogers, and that's been helpful, because that's helpful to tell us that there is a responsibility to honor and be dignified in this particular protest, in this particular fight. Now the time, after doing all the machinations and all the work that has gone on, is to find that quiet place of rest and simply say, thy will be done. We have done all that we can do. Now it's up to the principalities and powers beyond ourselves to make this work good for everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Anything else, Dr. Brindley, would you like to share?
No, I'm just delighted that this came together today. It's wonderful.
Yeah, very nice. And just some final words for those of you who've made it this far and may have feelings about what we're doing. You were loved too. And remember, sometimes when something rubs us a particular way, that's where our lesson is. And so when something really, really upsets me, I have to look at first, why does that upset me so much? Because my husband is the most unupsettable person you'll ever meet. And my cortisol will just surge out of nowhere. And so if you don't believe in what we're talking about, what you will believe is in self-care. And if nothing else, please don't let your cortisol get risen, right? You know, we have enough stimulation in our modern world that quiet and peace and getting in touch with your Mr. Rogers emotions. And why do I feel that way and this is where my master's degree in human development is coming in, to really just like the best way to be your best self is to first know thyself. So, and that's another opportunity in these morning meditations and prayers and the vigil. And so I thank you both for bringing this to my attention today. It's really lovely.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Meg.
Good to see you.
Yes.